Rings, you know, they made another one. They did it again. Samara's coming. She's gonna get everybody. There's gonna be puddles of water and TVs and static and so some people stumble across an old VHS tape that's creepy, and if you watch it, you die in 7 days. You all probably know that. What you don't know is that this time, this one has QuickTime files. So we're getting into uncharted territory here, guys. Truthfully, I thought this movie was going to be complete shit. I mean, it has one of the worst horror trailers I've seen in a long time, and it's been pushed back multiple times. It was originally last going to be coming out around Halloween. I was even doing a Ring series. I reviewed the original Japanese film and the American remake, and I was just about to post my review of The Ring 2, and they were like, hey, we're pushing it back to February. So I just now post my review of The Ring 2 because they just couldn't decide when to release this thing. And having seen it, I can kind of see why, but surprisingly, I didn't find this movie utter shit. It actually is mostly competently made, and it has a couple good performances, mostly from Vincent D'Onofrio in a very fun supporting role. He shows up late in the movie, and the lead actress isn't too bad. She reminded me of Jessica Alba. I mean, that's not really a bad thing. You look like Jessica Alba. That hurt my feelings. How dare you say that? Like, no girl would ever say that. They'd be like, oh, thanks. But honestly, it actually is fairly well directed. There are some effective sequences in Rings. This is not an incompetent movie. The horrifically dumb plane scene that we all saw in that trailer, gratefully, is over with within the first few minutes of the movie, so we don't really have to deal with that, and it kind of fades out in the memory, but it does feel really silly when you're watching it, and that leads me into my biggest issue with Rings, where the other films felt very primal and kind of vicious. This movie has a bit of a science fiction edge to it. When a college professor finds this tape, he decides to run all these experiments, and he quickly discovers what the whole mystery of the tape is and what you have to do. I won't ruin it for you if you've never seen the other films. And then he starts hosting all of these underground experiments. He starts a cult of sorts, and I don't really understand the timeline of this movie. That's another issue with it. When a character watches a tape, they're supposed to die in 7 days, but when we meet our main characters, the professor has already watched the tape, and then the guy goes off to school and starts his own thing, and I guess it's 6 days later, and somehow this whole underground cult experimentation class is going on, and I just don't get how all of this happened in such a small, minute amount of time. The performances are somewhat off and on, but there isn't one person you zero in on and just think, man, they should never be in movies. Most everyone is, as I said, competent. You can watch this movie, and I mean, that's really it. You can watch this movie, and it can be on. So, and like I said, if you have seen the Ring films, then you know what they have to do to sort of make it okay. The way they do it in this movie is so hilarious. I laughed actually in the theater. It's so funny. Like they actually, I wish I could just get into it. I'm sure you all know what it is, but just in case the one person who's watching, who would be me watching this video and go like, "Oh my God, he ruined it." I don't want to ruin it for anybody. So it's just the way they do it in this movie. It made me laugh in the theater. So that's not very good. This movie isn't as bad as say Incarnate or The Bye Bye Man. I actually liked it more than the American The Ring 2. I think it's better than that movie, which is directed by Hideo Nakata, who made the original Ring. So, as you guys know, I thought that movie sucked, and this one I thought was going to be even worse. And despite some really silly plot lines and some iffy acting, this movie is okay at best. And just the fact that I'm saying Rings is okay at best surprises me, because I went into this movie clenched, ready to be violated. I'm going to give Rings a C. It's not quite that terrible movie I was expecting, but you really can't get much out of this movie. All the character tropes that you expect in horror films like this are there, and they don't really do that much different with it. And some of the mythology of this movie, when connected to the other Ring films, it kind of messes with it a little bit. The way it ends is intriguing, but I don't really know if it makes sense within the boundaries of this franchise. Guys, thank you so much, as always, for watching. I do appreciate it. I'm going to try to see the film The Space Between Us. Is that what it's called? The Space? But I don't know. I'll try to see that one tomorrow. Guys, thank you very much for watching. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.